Today we say congratulations to Joe Biden and Kamala Harris for their great achievement of becoming President and Vice President of the United States. In this video we are going to review Joe Biden's inauguration speech from a non-political and rhetorical view to just see how he uses his rhetoric and communication, and we're also going to highlight some moments where he stutters. Because Joe Biden, if you didn't know this, is a person who stutters. And being a stutterer myself, this fills me with great pride and joy to see someone who stutters to have had this great achievement in life and his career. So let's get right into the speech to see some of the highlights, what he did good and what he can improve. Strong opening, open body language, great gesture to embrace the audience.
Chief Justice Roberts, Vice President Harris.
You don't often see Joe Biden have a genuine smile because he has a sort of lack in facial expressions. This is one of his greatest weaknesses. But this, you can truly see the enjoyment on his face, and you can really feel the happy emotion that transfers from his smile to us, and we become therefore more inclined to listen to what he has to say.
Speaker Pelosi, Leader Schumer, Leader McConnell, Vice President Pence, and my distinguished guests, my fellow Americans.
Here he is paying respect to all of those who are with him, and what is particularly important here is that he turns to Mike Pence, the former vice president that is also a Republican, to show him respect for being there. And through this action, Joe Biden is perceived as more humble, and that is creating a stronger ethos and credibility.
This is America's day. This is democracy's day. A day of history and hope.
This is called an anaphora, where you are repeating the first words or first phrases in two or more successive sentences. And in order to pull an anaphora off really great, you need to be very articulative. And this is a strength that Joe Biden has, probably because he's a stutterer. Because when you stutter and stumble upon your words, you need to exaggerate the movements of your mouth and articulate a lot more in order to come across those words. But that articulation also makes you a greater speaker. So even though he's a stutterer, the skills he uses to stutter less actually makes him a better speaker. And when he combines articulation with anaphora, the message becomes really powerful.
Of renewal and resolve. Through a crucible for the ages, America has been tested anew, and America has risen to the challenge. Today, we celebrate the triumph not of a candidate, but of a cause.
In the first minute of his speech, he uses functional gestures very good. He emphasizes the words and phrases that he says. However, later on, as the speech continues, you can see him dropping down his hands and locking them at the speaker chair. Do not lock your body language in any way, even on your body by crossing your arms, putting them behind your back, or to a speaker chair. Because locking your body is a sign of insecurity.
Through a crucible for the ages, America has been tested anew, and America has risen to the challenge.
There's a lack of facial expressions almost throughout this entire speech, and that is a sincere problem that Joseph Biden has, because not showing any emotions, and he's also squinting with his eyes, we almost perceive him as angry or frustrated the entire time. So even when he's speaking about positive things, he still squeezes his eyes together and he doesn't show off any emotions. If you want to become a great public speaker, you need to be able to transfer your emotions through your facial expressions to the audience. Really smile if you're happy. If you are serious, become serious in your face. This is one of the most important skills in public speaking, because if you do not have facial expressions that show real emotions, it's going to be a problem for your audience to perceive and believe you as a public speaker, because your facial expressions need to mimic the emotions that you want to create in the audience. So improve your facial expressions if you, like me, actually needs to improve it. I can be honest, as a public speaker, this is something that I need to improve. So take that advice with you.
Rise of political extremism, white supremacy, domestic terrorism, that we must confront and we will defeat.
Repetition, again, a sort of anaphora, not exactly the same, but repetition, and he goes down, he says defeat, so that comes to the ending of a phrase, and that is showing the audience that now you can applaud because you're coming to the finish of something and you're beginning something new.
Democracy, unity, unity. In another January, on New Year's Day in 1863, Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation. When he put pen to paper, the president said, and I quote, "If my name ever goes down into history, it'll be for this act, and my whole soul is in it." My whole soul is in it.
Great pause.
Today, on this January day, my whole soul is in this, bringing America together, uniting our people, uniting our nation. And I ask every American to join me in this cause.
Here he's using a rhetorical skill where he borrows ethos. He's borrowing credibility from someone that the audience view as an authoritative and credible person, in this case Abraham Lincoln. And in this case, he's sort of referring himself as an extension to the politics, the views, and the morals that Abraham Lincoln has. And you can use this skill, borrowed ethos, to boost yourself and your credibility and your likability when you are referring yourself to someone that the audience like. But you need to be careful here, because you really need to know your audience, because if you are referring to someone that the audience perhaps doesn't like as much as you do, then the borrowed ethos effect won't work, and it will actually have the opposite effect of what you are looking for. People will perhaps view you as non-credible. So make sure you know your audience when you are using the rhetorical skill borrowed ethos.
We can right wrongs. We can put people to work in good jobs. We can teach our children in safe schools. We can overcome the deadly virus. We can reward work and rebuild the middle class.
Right here we have his first stutter on the word reward. So this is quite unusual. We don't see Joe Biden stutter a lot, and being a stutterer myself and being a part of the stuttering community all over the world, this is really important to have a president, someone who has great credibility and authority and being one of the most powerful people in the world, and that he himself is a person who stutters, really shows that there are no limits to what you can achieve. It's really, really sad that people has had this mocking word for him, Sleepy Joe, when all he does and has is a speech impediment. And I'm highlighting the fact that Joe Biden stutters in order for everyone in the world to have more empathy for people who stutters, to have more patience and respect them in a much better way than society does today.
Our history has been a constant struggle between the American ideal that we're all created equal and the harsh, ugly reality that racism, nativism, fear, demonization have long torn us apart. The battle is perennial, and victory is never assured.
This, I would say, is not to his benefit when he uses quite difficult words like perennial, when he could have used a lot more simple word. My advice would be to remove such difficult words from the speech and add more common words. Otherwise, people who are listening and don't really understand like that a specific word, they might feel dumb, and if you make them feel dumb, they are going to like you less because you made them feel dumb for not understanding you. My advice to you is to know your audience and pick words that they will understand. And in this case, he's the President of the United States, he's talking to millions of people. The best advice and course of action is to not use difficult words.
To all those who did not support us, let me say this. Hear me out as we move forward. Take a measure of me and my heart. And if you still disagree, so be it. That's democracy. That's America.
This was a really important part of his speech, to not only paying respect to the supporters that he has, but showing respect to the people that does not support him. And I'm gotta say I'm a little bit disappointed, because using the phrase "so be it," it becomes very harsh and sort of aggressive when he says it. He tries to finish it off with, "This is democracy," and that we can disagree and not be enemies. But I'm not really feeling that he's genuine, and I think that is the lack of facial expression and body language that makes that message, that humbleness and respect towards his non-supporters doesn't really come through, and it doesn't really feel genuine. So on that note, I don't really feel that he succeeded in uniting the people. And I want you to take that with you, because that is an indication of how fragile your communication really is. That just 3 words can change the whole dynamic and perception of what you just said. And just 3 simple words can have a complete opposite effect of what you were looking to achieve. So really be careful what words you use when you communicate. That sums up the first speech of Joe Biden as President of the United States. I hope you enjoyed this video where we were highlighting how Joe Biden uses his stuttering to his advantage, and what other rhetorical devices that he used in a good way and what he can improve on. And I hope by reviewing this you have gotten some great advice that you can take with you when you are improving your public speaking skills, and I hope that we see each other in the next video.